Have you ever wanted to read a really thick book, but you feel pretty intimidated about the process? Well, as someone who loves a good chonker, let me tell you how I get through long books. To me, the first and most important thing is just to remember none of this is a race. You don't have to read a book a week. You don't have to read a book a month. You can take as long as you want to with a book. But even with that mentality, it can certainly be tough. So, one of the things that I always do is I look to see if there's any way that I can split the book up into little segments or parts. I'm about to start The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and it is divided up into little smaller sub books. So I look at these as like, what is it, 6 individual little books that I'm going to work my way through. Now, of course, not all books do that. And so in that case, let's say I had an 800-page book. I would find a chapter that ends somewhere around page 200, and I'd say to myself, that's my first goal. I'm just getting there. The next thing that I would say is to stay consistent. I'm going to read a little bit of this book each day. It may be that you want to read by chapters, so I want to read a chapter, 2 chapters a day, something like that. Or maybe even a week. I want to get through 5 chapters in a week. Some people prefer kind of page goals. You can absolutely do that. I'm going to read, you've got an 800-page book. I'm going to read 80 pages a day. I'll be done in 10 days. Giving some sort of goal or target can help mentally break that book up into more manageable chunks. Now, last but not least, a lot of times when we're looking at these bigger books, we're talking about epic fantasy where there are tons of lands and worlds and characters, and on top of it just being a big book, there is so much to absorb and think. And I see a lot of people who are like frantically flipping back and forth to the map, always flipping back and forth to the glossary. And you may need to do a little bit of that. But I'll tell you a little bit of a secret. I don't start doing that until about 100 pages in. If you just start reading it, you're going to see the same names, the same places start to repeat themselves. Every time that I am stopping where I am reading and going back to a map or going to a glossary, it takes me out of the story and makes the book just feel even longer. Get through that first 100 pages, get through that first 5, 10 chapters or whatever. And if you're still confused about what someone or something is at that point, then you can go back, but you've got more of a frame of reference to go off at that point. An alternative strategy to this is if you have something that seems to be a recurrent question, write it down and wait till a natural break, like the end of a chapter, and then go back so that it's not interrupting your reading mid-chapter and taking you out of that story. So if you are a fellow chunky book lover and you've got other good tips for folks who are looking to read bigger books, I would love to hear your tips on getting through these monsters.